redemption, because I'm vexed. Yeah, I'm praying he listens, cause I got a thorn, then it's deep in me. And I've been torn, evil is with me. Consumed with envy, lust is tempting, can I give in to sin? Yeah. My carnal flesh is weighing me down, my soul is vexed. When the trumpet sound, I know we got next. But I'm throwing punches, trying to pass the test. Satan got my name coming across his desk. I'm watching my back with every step. My thoughts be vexing me, all of these bills be stressing me. Asking the Lord for the recipe, so I cook it up before the death of me. I'm chained down by mortality, I need a new body from my God without a warranty. Lord, when will it end? I know we gotta conquer sin, standing strong against the wind. This thorn pricks and it's deep within, and the man in the mirror I'm battling. So with every fast I'm killing them, starve him out, it ain't no sin for him. Feed my spirit with the benefits, restitution I need all of it. Crack the code, I'm solving it. Truth be told, I'm bossing it. I got to overcome this wickedness. Give him my all, get up when I fall, and fight for these laws, accepting the call, and examine my flaws. Yeah, cause I know that it's me, denying desires in me, and I look to the highest for strength. I need salvation from this flesh. I need redemption, because I'm vexed. Yeah, I'm praying he listens, cause I got a thorn, then it's deep in me. And I've been torn, evil is with me. Consumed with envy, lust is tempting, and I give in to sin.
Place can't make you what you gon' do. Place can't make you when you come. Place can't make you and it's on you. Get a main side, what you really gon' do? What am I gonna do when no one's out? I'm like at me now, look at me now. Now I need advice, don't catch me. Save me from myself, I'm dangerous. Ain't leaving, says enough. Ever wanna listen to the scriptures on the lust. Don't feed it, starving it out. Make it though when it's out. Tell me to run, catching my friends, so I can't tell me to run, catching my friends, so I can't tell.
I need salvation from this flesh. I need redemption, because I'm vexed. Yeah, I'm praying he listens, cause I got a thorn, then it's deep in me. And I've been torn, evil is with me. Consumed with envy, lust is tempting, can I give in to sin?
We don't play. Reaching Israelites in the four corners every day. Breaking soil, yeah, we're royal, and we teaching in his might. We don't fight for corners, but instead we're taking flights. We taking over the world. 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 Yeah. Had to take a tour, now we loading up the trips to reach our people up in India. It don't make no sense how the haters just be mad at you when we doing our work. See our blueprints all in Africa. Yeah, this Bible had to be told. Damn it, wherever we go, constantly reaching the fold, working in purple and gold. So we're saying bye now, but Lord we'll be back later. Black guy with the forces like we're Darth Vader. All around the whole world like an equator. We taking over the world. All day when it comes to prophets, we don't play. Israelites in the four corners every day. Breaking soil, yeah, we're we're royal and we teaching in His might. We don't fight for corners, but instead we're taking flights. We taking over the world. 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 Just left the SB lines, now we popping down the gangway. 5 countries bound, yeah, we pulling in the same way. Ironic how they bought us, now they brought us to the same place. This ain't live wood, but reminds me of the same thing. Ain't this strange? We been up on it, I'm raving the moan, I'm not Benjamin, but I'm up in it. Got plenty of vengeance up on me, but you know we only by teaching repentance for interest. Gave eat them the business, got blood on my fringes. You know how we battle, not carnal but vicious. Remain on this mission while some lost the vision, cause we get it cracking, what's happening, let's get it.
You are now flying.
Drop the naked down on their asses. We official skippers say we out of bounds, but the rest of this place is whistle. God got me, I'm on fire. Take the slide forward, crystal. We go all around, miles from the crystal. Wake up, Bishop. We don't fizzle, we go. All day, when it comes to prophets, we don't play. Reaching Israelites in the four corners every day. Breaking soil, yeah, we're royal, and we teaching in His might. We don't fight for corners, but instead we're taking flights. We taking over the world. 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 We taking over the world.
Scriptures out the Bible screaming, one nation, one love, one God that's gonna show up. Israel, we gon' blow up. No more of these ignorant questions, everything revealed in time. No more of these lies, we some lions. Look how we survive. Put in work, I'm clean, no dirt. Them demons got they feeling hurt. The old man just got murk, I understood, I had to lay him down. Old relationship with work, new relationship with God. Walking righteousness on earth, the truth came out. Double birth, a new boy, baby that look like Christ. Faith in Him will be alright. Levitate, let's catch a flight. Elevate to change your life. Living daily and it's crazy how I got an appetite. The fruits of Christ, the bread of life with faith and works, alright. Hey, the kingdom God up in our sight. We gon' teach through the night. Our objective is to turn everything into light. Scandalous the world we in. Burn it up, let's purge the sin. Destruction in an hour, saw it clear from the watchtower. The ending is beginning. If you know the Bible, know the sign, know the change. Who's the king? Christ gon' shut down everything. We been out here teaching and been preaching the return of Christ. This is how we live and we confess this to the end of life. Yeah. Faith and word. It's the album. Yeah. See what's understood ain't gotta be explained. But if it's explained, it needs to be understood. Yeah. Shout out to everybody in the truth. They out there pushing it, you know what I'm saying? Put a lot of faith in, put a lot of work in. To the kingdom come, you know what I mean? Yeah. We out here.
Yeah. Whoa, whoa, hey,
Hey, I done seen the future in America won't make it. I can look at Europe and I see it for the taking. China's about to fall, the economy is breaking. We ain't asking for the kingdom, man, we about to take it. Take it. World domination, we gon' take it. I don't need your money, yeah, we coming out the matrix. The London Bridge is falling, the Eiffel Tower falling, Statue of Liberty is falling. Call that world domination.
Not in the zodiacs, but the stars line up right. Thought that was a plane, that's an angel made of fire. The Lord gon' flip the cards and it started with a fly. You been sitting in the church while your pastor teaching lies. We after the world domination. For the blacks, Hispanics, and all of the natives. For Dominicans and Haitians and Jamaicans. Like bleach to a white tee, you nations can't fade us.
We gon' take this kingdom, break it down and build it up. Bring their treasures in the stars, tell them fill it up. All the nations drunk the cup, tell them sip it up. Even if their bodies dropping, they ain't did enough. If you not walking in the way, better get up out the way. Better watch your words, cause he writing if you getting paid. Judgment coming soon, I can't wait to see the day. I just seen the vision, presidents and politicians, all they kings and all they princes, everyone was bowing down. With the rod of iron, lift the banner up to Zion, speak against us, then you dying, beating nations to the ground.
I done seen the future in America won't make it. I can look at Europe and I see it for the taking. China's about to fall, the economy is breaking. We ain't asking for the kingdom, man, we about to take it. World domination, we gon' take it. I don't need your money, yeah, we coming out the matrix. The London Bridge is falling, the Eiffel Tower falling, Statue of Liberty is falling, call that world domination.
I just woke up feeling like I run the planet. Just like Jeremiah, you know that the Savior planted. They know we ordained to be a prophet, so they panic. With my rod of iron, I'm about to do some damage. When them waters open, I ain't trying to talk. All them babies getting rocked on us in the block. We gon' make the heathen hot like a dinner pot.
Men of Israel, blow trumpets. Trumpets down. The book of Psalms, chapter 26, verse 1. Judge me, O Lord, for I have walked in my integrity. I have trusted also in the Lord. Therefore I shall not slide. Examine me, O Lord, and prove me. Try my reins and my heart, for thy loving kindness is before my eyes, and I have walked in thy truth. I have not sat with vain persons, neither will I go unto dissemblers. I have hated the congregation of evildoers. I will not sit with the wicked. I will wash my hands in innocence. I will compass thy altars, O Lord, that I may publish the voice of thanksgiving and tell of all the wondrous works. Lord, I have loved the habitation of thy house and the place where thy honor dwelleth. Gather not my soul with sinners, nor my life with bloody men, in those in whose hand is mischief, and their right hand is full of bribe. But as for me, I will walk in my integrity. Redeem me and be merciful unto me. My foot stand in an even place. In the congregation will I bless the Lord. Father God of all, we come before you asking for mercy in your sight, asking that you pour down the spirit of wisdom and understanding, and that this class be for the edification of the nation. We ask that you heal those that sickly amongst us. Be with the house of Officer Amos, Lord. Be with the house of Deacon Isaac, Lord. And be with our sister Rebecca and raise her up, Lord. We ask that you be with our leadership who travel the four corners of the earth to be a guiding light to them of protection and a hedge about of angels to them, Lord. In the name of your son, we pray and thank you for all these things. Amen. All right. Oh, praises. Oh, praise Shalom, Most High Christ. Bless. We in the building. Yeah, look, even there. All praise to the Most High God. I will be doing today's classes. It's I, Officer Sampson, Israel United in Christ, Detroit. We in the building. All praise to the Most High God. For all y'all who tuned in early this morning, History in the AM, we got a spectacular class for you guys. You know, we got something very special for you who's tuned in. Today's class is entitled The Struggles of David, the Civil War. So if you've been tuned in to my most recent classes, we've been going through the scriptures thoroughly concerning David and his trials prior to becoming king. We've spoken about the slaying of Goliath in our first series. The second series, we spoke of the envy of Saul, in which Saul constantly chased him. And I think the third series was the fugitive of the Lord, when he went on a run from Saul and his exploits during that time period while on the run. And this series is going to be based on the civil war that took place in his first 7 years of being the king of Israel. With that being said, first, before we get started, right there. Oh, no, right here. Right here. For all y'all sitting at home, hop on the PayPal. Donate.
That's right.
Donate. Here we go. Yeah. What a yeah button.
Yeah.
There we go. Donate to the Booster Club, which is our which helps us send the prophets worldwide. We have a large amount of work to do, and the time is getting short. So we want to be able to get this gospel to the four corners of the earth as prophesied. We want to send these leadership, our brothers, the captains, the deacons, bishops, all Israel who has the Spirit of the Lord upon them. We want to be able to send them to these countries in which is in dire need of the gospel. So with that being said, donate. So
Yeah.
all praise to the Most High God. So we're going to get started. We're going to start the Civil War of David, where we're going to start today. It begins with the last war of Saul. So that's where we're going to start. 1 Samuel, the last chapter, which is chapter 31. That's where we're going to start our reading today. For y'all who don't know, Israel was constantly in wars. The Most High God actually allowed us, as soon as we left Egypt, our first war was with Amalek. And throughout time, we've been in constant war with the nations. And war build character. Even to this present day, we are at war. And I'm going to give you an example. Even though our war is not physical anymore, in the sense of, I'm going to show you what I mean. Let's start with 1 Corinthians chapter 10. Because the war will get physical in the sense of, through teaching this gospel, teaching what's right through the earth in this wicked time period in which the world is so evil, a lot of us going to be put to death. Blood will be shed. Some of us going to be beaten, even tortured. So it is physical in a sense, but not in the sense of we are going to be fighting this war with carnal methods. So let me show you what I mean. Let's start with verse 3.
1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 3. And did all eat the same spiritual meat?
2 Corinthians, brother. Did I say 1 Corinthians? My mistake. 2 Corinthians 10, verse 3.
2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 3. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh.
So though we walk in this flesh, we walk in these carnal bodies. We walk day and night through America, whether you be in America. Some of you may be watching this from Africa right now. Some of you may be in the West Indies islands, Canada, Mexico, wherever you are right now, you walking in the flesh. Though we walk in the flesh, what it says?
For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh.
Our war is not after the flesh. We do not war with carnal means, meaning we not to be trying to take up arms to overthrow the government. We not to be trying to force people to repent with knives and swords or guns and ammunition. We don't war after the flesh. Read.
Verse 4. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal.
Our weapons are not carnal, but what?
But mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. Casting down imaginations.
Our war now is against the imaginations that is in the heart. Or the imagination that Jesus is a white man. The imagination that all nations, that the Bible is for all nations. That is a all-inclusive book. That is the war that we fight today. The imaginations such as Christmas, New Year's, which some of y'all who watching right now at home, your fathers, your mothers, your children maybe, they celebrated New Year's. A pagan custom, which is against God. Their pastors at the churches, they didn't say anything was wrong with it. They treated it as everything was okay with God. We got to cast down that imagination. Read on.
Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God.
So everything that is against God is our job to come up and war against. And that's what you see with the army of God that the Lord is raising up. You say, army of God. God have an army? No, it couldn't be. Not my Jesus. My Jesus is so peaceful. That's because your Jesus is a homosexual. But the true Jesus Christ, the true Savior, is a man of war. Let's get that. Exodus 15. And that's the reason why we go through this history concerning these different wars, because there's much that we can learn from it. Let's go. Give me that 15.
Exodus chapter 15 and verse 3.
Come on.
The Lord is a man of war.
What is Christ?
The Lord is a man of war.
Read.
The Lord is his name.
The Lord is a man of war. So he puts his people through constant war. Why? To build and shape us to be more like him. Give me that Ezekiel chapter 37. Ezekiel 37. We can start at, I want to say verse 10. Shooting from the hip. I hope you are in the same spirit as me. Yep.
Ezekiel chapter 37 and verse 10.
Come on.
So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived, and stood up upon their feet, an exceeding great army.
So this is what the Lord is raising up in these last days, an exceeding great army. And for y'all who have been tuned into Israel United in Christ of recently, of late, for the last few years, the last 20 years, you have seen this prophecy in full effect throughout the world. The army of God growing, taking shape, and affecting the communities in a positive way, and putting the fear of God on God's people and the fear of destruction on the wicked. That's what you have been seeing. Now, just to prove the point concerning how, because somebody at home thinking that we should be more like the Black Panthers and take up arms. We should be more militant like Huey P. Newton, you know, which these brothers who were honorable in their time, who stood for something in their time, they think that's what we should do, being with the numbers that we have. Y'all got enough numbers to try to do things like that. Let's see what the Bible says. Let's go to Zechariah 4 and 6. Zechariah 4 and 6. And this is all this, what they call it? A prefix? What is it? A prelude. Yeah, that's the word I want. This is all a prelude to the actual class that we're going to go into today. But it was just on my spirit this morning. I woke up just thinking about war, you know. I woke up and I chose violence. What you got?
Zechariah chapter 4 and verse 6. Then he answered and spake unto me, saying, This is the word of the Lord unto Zerubbabel.
Come on.
Saying, Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord of hosts.
So it's not by our own physical might. You know, we got some big, strong brothers. Big, gym going, weightlifting, athletic brothers. But it's not by our own physical might in which we're going to overthrow this government. It is going to be by the Spirit of the Lord. What is the Spirit of the Lord, you say? Let's find out. Let's go to John 6. John 6. Let's see what the Spirit of the Lord is.
John.
What you mean the Spirit of the Lord? Because some of y'all think the Spirit of the Lord is a feeling, a warm feeling inside when you feel something good in your life. The Spirit of the Lord. I was embraced in the Spirit of the Lord. No, you was just excited, brother. Relax. Let's read.
John chapter 6 and verse 63.
Come on.
It is the Spirit that quickeneth.
It's the Spirit that quickeneth. The word quickeneth means to make alive. We've been dead. We've been walking around in a dead, stupid state. You look in the black community, and majority of our people are walking around in a zombie-like state. They either hide, searching for drugs, or lascivious and lewd, and their mind is focused on sex, or they are extremely covetous, and they all they think about is making a dollar, getting over on the next man, being a huckster or hustler, as they say today. Or they have all three of those spirits and to their own demise. We have been dead, but it says the Spirit will make you alive. How so?
It is the Spirit that quickeneth.
Uh-huh.
The flesh profiteth nothing.
Sin does not profit us at all. Read.
The words that I speak unto you,
come on,
they are spirit and they are life.
These words out of this Bible here, is what we will war with. This is what we're going to take down our oppressors with. This is what we are going to raise up the army of God with. The Spirit of the Lord. That bomb was poorly timed, but all praise to the Most High God. Now, let's get into the Civil War of David. As I stated prior, the beginning of this war, starts with the final war of Saul. So let's read 1 Samuel chapter 30. Is that what I said? No, 31. In verse 1. And just for a small recap, what we read last, Saul hired a witch, a sorcerer, a woman with a familiar spirit to channel the spirit of Samuel, who had passed away, who the book is named after. And he was not supposed to do that at all, because that is a blatant sin. And Samuel informed Saul that this would be his last battle, that he would die in this battle prior to the battle even starting. So now the battle kicks off, and we are in verse 31, and Saul is going to be destroyed for his constant disobedience to God, as well as him constantly going after a just man in David. So let's start there. Verse 1.
1 Samuel chapter 31 and verse 1.
Uh-huh.
Now the Philistines fought against Israel, and the men of Israel fled from before the Philistines and fell down slain in Mount Gilboa.
Uh-huh.
And the Philistines followed hard upon Saul and upon his sons. And the Philistines slew Jonathan and Abinadab and Melchishua, Saul's sons.
So for those who don't know, Jonathan was David's, I'm gonna use this term in the modern sense, his best friend. You know, that was David's guy, who was the son of Saul. And Jonathan, he stayed in it with his father up until the end, Jonathan being a man of war himself. Because they was all men of war. Saul, Jonathan, all Saul's sons, and David, who was taken in as one of Saul's, like he was one of Saul's sons. Reno.
1 Samuel chapter
actually, he was Saul's son-in-law. Reno.
Chapter 31 and verse 3.
Uh-huh.
And the battle went sore against Saul, and the archers hit him, and he was sore wounded of the archers.
So he was hit by an arrow. Read.
Then said Saul unto his armor-bearer, Draw thy sword, and thrust me through therewith, lest these uncircumcised come and thrust me through. and abused me.
So what Saul wanted them to do, he wanted to be killed before the heathen got to him, because he knew if the heathen got to him first, they was going to torture him. They was going to just destroy his body, mangle him before he died. So he was wounded to the point where he knew he was going to die. So he asked his armor bearer to kill him so that he didn't have to suffer abuse to the heathen. Read on.
But his armor bearer,
these is all things that may go down in war, you know? Like we hear in modern war about in World War II, I believe, when they went in to finally get Adolf Hitler. You know, he put himself to death first before they can get to him. Why? Because when your enemy finally get the top guy, they gonna make a show of it. They gonna make a show of it, a public execution. You know, so Saul rather died a swift death than to be taken by his enemies. Read on.
1 Samuel chapter 31 and verse 4.
Uh-huh.
Then said Saul unto his armor bearer, draw thy sword, and thrust me through therewith, lest these uncircumcised come and thrust me through and abuse me. But his armor bearer would not, for he was sore afraid. Therefore Saul took a sword and fell upon it.
Now that's key right there. It says Saul took his own sword and fell on his own sword. Remember, that's going to be key for later. Read on.
Verse 5. And when his armor bearer saw that Saul was dead.
So his armor bearer witnessed Saul kill himself. What did he do?
He fell likewise upon his sword.
He killed himself as well, because remember, he was afraid, you know. And for those who don't know, an armor bearer would be your main top security guard, right? Read on.
And died with him.
Uh-huh.
So Saul died, and his 3 sons, and his armor bearer, and all his men that same day together. And when the men of Israel that were on the other side of the valley, and they that were on the other side of Jordan, saw that the men of Israel fled.
Come on.
And that Saul and his sons were dead, they forsook the cities and fled. And the Philistines came and dwelt in them. And it came to pass on the morrow, when the Philistines came to strip the slain, that they found Saul and his 3 sons fallen in Mount Gilboa. And they cut off his head.
They did what?
Cut off his head.
So they found King Saul and they cut his head off, read.
And stripped off his armor, and sent into the land of the Philistines round about, to publish it in the house of their idols and among the people. And they put his armor in the house of Ashtaroth, and they fastened his body to the wall of Bethshan.
So they put him up as a public, they put him up, his dead body up publicly for everybody to see. Like, we finally slain our enemy, because Saul was giving them hell. You know, when Saul was in his right mind, he was destructive to the enemies of the Lord. So they thought it to be a triumph victory when they finally got to Saul, right? And it's the same thing with us. I want y'all to be key. In this spiritual warfare, when we fall, all those who we've been trying to teach, all our enemies that align us, they gonna take it as a great thing if you go into sin, if you fall, as just like Saul did. I'm gonna give you an example of what I mean. Let's go to Sirach 18, verse 30. Sirach 18, verse 30. I'm gonna show you what I mean. In this spiritual war, let me know when you got it. Come on.
Sirach chapter 18 and verse 30.
Yeah.
Go not after thy lust, but refrain thyself from thine appetite.
Your appetite can be many things. Your appetite could be marijuana. Your appetite could be nicotine. You cannot stop buying Newport 100s in the box. You cannot stop buying Black and Mild cherries. That could be your appetite. Your appetite could be or pornography. You cannot stop clicking on pornography. Read.
Verse 31. If thou givest thy soul the desires that please her, she will make thee a laughing stock to thine enemies that malign thee.
So when you fall into your sin, when you fall away,
all those people who you've been teaching, we the Israelites, we need to be keeping the commandments. We need to be observing the Sabbath day. We need to marry our wives. When you commit adultery, when you commit fornication, they're going to say, look at this guy with that Bible. This guy, he talked all that stuff with this Bible, and he's found to be a hypocrite. Read.
Verse 32, take not pleasure in much good cheer.
That was it on that. So what we want to make sure we not doing is being hypocritical, because our enemies are waiting for that day when they can be like, see, I told you he was not righteous. Go to Sirach chapter 1. Sirach 1, and I believe it's verse 30, but I'm shooting from the hip. Where it's you see it? Read it.
Sirach chapter 1 and verse 30. Exalt not thyself, lest thou fall, and bring dishonor upon thy soul. And so God discovered thy secrets.
Start at verse 29, I'm sorry.
Verse 29. Be not an hypocrite in the sight of men.
So what you don't want to be is hypocritical. You don't want to come into this truth. Start keeping the commandments and be found to be a hypocrite. Read.
Be not an hypocrite in the sight of men, and take good heed what thou speakest.
Read.
Exalt not thyself, lest thou fall, and bring dishonor upon thy soul. And so God discovered thy secrets and cast thee down in the midst of the congregation.
Because you will be cast down in the midst of the congregation. And you will be made a laughing stock to your enemies, those whom is, you got to be truthful for yourself. It's people that's just waiting for you to fall. I know that myself, you know. I know it's people waiting for me to fall so they can be like, I knew Officer Sampson was evil as hell. I knew it. That's what they're waiting on you to fall. So that's why it's important for us to do this. Go to Ephesians chapter 6 concerning this war. They waiting for us to fall in the battle, you know, spiritual battle. They want us to fall off so that they can say, I knew he was never right. He was never this. He was never that. Read what you got.
Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 10.
Come on.
Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might.
I want verse 11, but come on.
Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil.
The wiles of the devil is the things which tempt us constantly. All his different trickery and deceits. The things that he tries to plague our minds with. You can end up falling by those things. That's why it says, take what?
Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil.
You must put on this whole Bible constantly. You must die daily, over and over again, constantly, 10 to 15 minutes a day. Go over the different sins that you battle with mentally. Whatever that thing that is that pops in your mind when you out and about, there's that evil thought that always pops in your mind, 10 to 15 minutes a day, go over scriptures concerning that thing, you know, so that you may be able to stand. Put on this Bible. Now let's go back, because our enemies is waiting to make us a laughing stock, the same way they did Saul when he failed, when he broke the commandment of the Lord allowed him to be put to death. The enemy took his head and his body, they strung it up and laughed at him. That's the same way, that's the same thing they do to us spiritually. So, let's go. Let's read verse 10 again.
1 Samuel chapter 31 and verse 10.
Uh-huh.
And they put his armor in the house of Ashtaroth, and they fastened his body to the wall of Bethshan.
So they put his armor in their false gods' temples. They put it up. Read.
And when the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead heard of that which the Philistines had done to Saul, all the valiant men arose.
Now, why is that key? The inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead, they was the first group of men who Saul came to save. When Saul was in his right mind, Saul saved them at their lowest point. I'm going to show you that. Let's go to 1 Samuel 11, verse 1.
1 Samuel chapter 11 and verse 1.
Come on.
Then Nahash the Ammonite came up and encamped against Jabesh Gilead. And all the men of Jabesh said unto Nahash, make a covenant with us, and we will serve thee. And Nahash the Ammonite answered them, on this condition will I make a covenant with you, that I may thrust out all your right eyes.
So these men, the Ammonites told these men of Jabesh Gilead that he wanted all the men to cut their eyes out. Cut one of their eyes out. That's what the Ammonites, who we call today the Japanese, that's what they wanted them to do. Read on.
That I may thrust out all your right eyes, and lay it for a reproach upon all Israel. And the elders of Jabesh said unto him, give us 7 days respite, that we may send messengers unto all the coasts of Israel.
Because this is similar to, if you watch the movie 300, when they send their ambassadors. So ambassador is sent. So they meet. This is a meeting prior to a war, where they send 1 or 3, like a caravan of men to speak to you before the war start. And they told them, we want you to cut your right eye out. And they told them, okay, give us 7 days to go to war. If we don't respond to your battle in 7 days, we'll be your servants. We'll cut our right eye out. Right? That's what Jabesh Gilead did. Read.
And then, if there be no man to save us, we will come out to thee. Then came the messengers to Gibeah of Saul, and told the tidings in the ears of the people. And all the people lifted up their voices and wept.
So Saul heard what was going on. And read verse 6.
Verse 6. And the Spirit of God came upon Saul when he heard those tidings, and his anger was kindled greatly.
So Saul was upset when he heard that. Why? He had the Spirit of God on him at this time period. This is prior to his sin. This is when he was in his right mind. The Spirit of God came on him. Let's see verse 11.
Verse 11. And it was so on the morrow that Saul put the people in 3 companies, and they came into the midst of the host in the morning watch, and slew the Ammonites until the heat of the day.
This is Saul's first war. He went to battle with the Japanese, and he put, you know, you watch all the movies like Imp Man and it was a movie I watched recently, like The Raid, where they doing all this kung fu, the Japanese, but Saul and his army showed up and put all that kung fu to death. You know what I'm saying? He put all that. He gave them boys the business. Read.
And it came to pass that they which remained were scattered, so that 2 of them were not left together.
He said they was so shook. It was not 2 of them left together. They ran all different ways. Read.
Verse 12. And the people said unto Samuel, who is he that said, shall Saul reign over us? Bring them in, that we may put them to death.
Read.
And Saul said, there shall not a man be put to death this day. For today the Lord hath wrought salvation in Israel.
Because a lot of men did not accept Saul as the king until this battle right here. Until Saul came out and saved these men. And when these men were saved, these men was loyal to Saul after that. These valiant men, they was loyal to Saul. Why? Because Saul saved their life. He saved their people. He saved their city. So now when we go back to verse 11, these men hear about what they did to Saul and what they did to his body. So verse 11, let's see what he did.
1 Samuel chapter 31 and verse 11. And when the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead heard of that which the Philistines had done to Saul, all the valiant men arose.
The valiant men, so they all the mighty strongest man, they got up and did what?
And went all night and took the body of Saul and the bodies of his sons from the wall of Bethshan.
So they came and took his bodies down. Went in where the Philistines was at, and they took it down. Read.
And came to Jabesh and burnt them there. And they took their bones and buried them under a tree at Jabesh and fasted 7 days.
They fasted 7 days because they loved Saul. Because when Saul was in his right mind, he did wondrous works for Israel. And these men never forgot what they did, you know. Like a lot of people, they will forget the works that you did. But these men did, because when you at your lowest point, a lot of people will forget. These men didn't have that spirit. So let's go 2 Samuel verse 1. So 2 Samuel is the beginning. When you read 1 Samuel, the majority of it is Saul is in rulership as king. half the book, Samuel was the judge. He put Saul in place as the king. When you get to 2 Samuel, begins the reign of David, right? So let's start verse 1.
The second book of Samuel, chapter 1.
Uh-huh.
Now it came to pass after the death of Saul, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, and David had abode 2 days in Ziklag. It came even to pass on the third day that, behold, a man came out of the camp from Saul with his clothes rent, and earth was upon his head. And so it was, when he came to David, that he fell to the earth and did obeisance. And David said unto him, From whence comest thou? And he said unto him, Out of the camp of Israel am I escaped. And David said unto him, How went the matter? I pray thee, tell me. And he answered, That the people are fled from the battle, and many of the people also are fallen and dead. And Saul and Jonathan his son are dead also. And David said unto the young man that told him, How knowest thou that Saul and Jonathan his son be dead? And the young man that told him said, As I happened by chance upon Mount Gilboa, behold, Saul leaned upon his spear, and lo.
Now note, here it says Saul leaned upon his what?
His spear.
His spear. When we read in 1 Samuel, it says Saul took his sword and killed himself, right? Now note, this man is giving David a story. He's giving him a story that the details are clearly different than we just read in 1 Samuel. But he's telling David a story because he's hoping that David is going to be happy with what he's saying, right? So he said Saul was on a spear, read.
And the young man that told him said, As I happened by chance upon Mount Gilboa.
I just so happened by chance to walk by a battle and see the king of Israel on his spear, read.
Behold, Saul leaned upon his spear, and lo, the chariots and horsemen followed hard after him. And when he looked behind him, he saw me and called unto me. And I answered, Here am I. And he said unto me, Who art thou? And I answered him, I am an Amalekite. He said unto me again.
So this is Amalekite. So this is Amalek. Today we refer to this man as a so-called Jewish man. Read.
Verse 9. He said unto me again.
So-called. I want to be clear, because they are not the Jews. Read.
He said unto me again, Stand, I pray thee, upon me, and slay me, for anguish is come upon me, because my life is yet whole in me.
So now he's saying, anguish is coming on me, kill me because I'm in pain. He said that's what Saul said. But what we just read was Saul asked his own armor bearer who wouldn't kill him to kill him so that his enemies wouldn't torture him. And he fell on his own sword. So it's details that are clearly different from what we just read. That in this Amalekites story. Read on.
Verse 10. So I stood upon him and slew him, because I was sure that he could not live after that he was fallen.
So he said that he killed Saul. When we just read that, it said Saul killed himself on his own sword. And his armor bearer witnessed it and killed himself after that. So, but this Amalekite stated, I killed Saul. I did it. Read.
And I took the crown that was upon his head.
Then I robbed him. I killed Saul. I took his crown. Read.
And the bracelet that was on his arm. And I've brought them hither unto my Lord. Then David took hold on his clothes and rent them.
So once he seen Saul's clothes, he rent his clothes. Read.
And likewise all the men that were with him.
Come on.
And they mourned and wept and fasted unto even for Saul and for Jonathan his son.
Now you got to remember, David was under persecution from Saul. He was on the run from Saul for years. But when he heard Saul was passed, he was still heartbroken and sore. Why? Because he loved Saul like a father. Because Saul was his father. Saul just was out of the spirit at the time. So David had to go on a run. Read on.
Verse 12. And they mourned and wept and fasted unto even for Saul and for Jonathan his son. and for the people of the Lord, and for the house of Israel, because they were fallen by the sword.
Come on.
And David said unto the young man that told him, Whence art thou? And he answered, I am the son of a stranger, an Amalekite. And David said unto him, How wast thou not afraid to stretch forth thine hand to destroy the Lord's anointed?
So what did David say? He said, how was you not afraid to kill the anointed king of Israel? How did it not come to your mind to say, I shouldn't do that? Even the armor bearer who was afraid in the midst of battle, he was afraid to put his hand out and kill Saul, and he knew he was going to die. He knew that they was going into a losing battle, and he was afraid to do that thing. Even David himself, who was given the chance twice to kill Saul, he said, I will not kill the anointed king of Israel. Even David was afraid to kill the anointed king. But this man told David this story thinking because Saul was after David, that David would give him some type of reward. David would praise him for killing his enemy. That's what the Amalekite had in his head. He was, what he said? What's that? Au contraire. I butchered that. Somebody help me out, man. Say it. He don't know. Okay. Praises, dude. Whatever. I'll look it up later. It's a French word, but how mistaken you are, my friend. Read on.
Verse 15. And David called one of the young men and said, Go near and fall upon him.
He told one of the young men, kill that dude. Read.
And he smote him.
Then he said, fall on him. That's like, these black people. Fall on him. You know what I'm saying? And he fell on him. Read on.
And he smote him that he died. And David said unto him, Thy blood be upon thy head, for thy mouth hath testified against thee, saying, I have slain the Lord's anointed.
Because even though Saul was out the spirit, even though he was doing evil, he was still anointed by God to be the king of Israel. The anointed. The word anointed translates, for you who don't know, to Christ. That's what the word Christ means, for y'all who don't know. The anointed. Meaning the king, anointed king of Israel. I know people use words, these dumb black people, they don't understand. But Saul was the anointed at this time. David was anointed as well by Samuel, who the book is written after, who he did the anointing of the Lord. Read on.
Verse 17.
Come on.
And David lamented with his lamentation over Saul and over Jonathan his son. Also he bade them teach the children of Judah the use of the bow. Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher, the beauty of Israel is slain upon thy places. How are the mighty fallen? Tell it not in Gath. Publish it not in the streets of Ascalon, lest the daughters of the Philistines rejoice, lest the daughters of the uncircumcised triumph.
So what did David do? David kept his word that he said he would in Saul, because Saul previously, when they was at odds, told David, when you become king, do not blot my name out of Israel. Don't make Israel forget about me. Because David had the power to blot Saul's name to the point where we would never even know who Saul was. Take him completely out the writings. But he asked David, blot not my name out of Israel. Right? Read on. Not only that, he had a covenant with his best friend Jonathan to do the same, to not destroy his household and his line. So David had it published throughout Israel. What? Read it again. Verse 18.
Verse 18. Also he bade them teach the children of Judah the use of the bow.
He told them, teach all the children of Judah how to use the bow in honor of Saul, the Benjamite. Read.
Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher, the beauty of Israel is slain upon thy high places.
In honor of Jonathan, because Jonathan used the bow. But read on.
How are the mighty fallen? Tell it not in Gath. Publish it not in the streets of Ascalon, lest the daughters of the Philistines rejoice, lest the daughters of the uncircumcised triumph. Ye mountains of Gilboa, let there be no dew, neither let there be rain upon you, nor fields of offerings. For there the shield of the mighty is vilely cast away, the shield of Saul, as though he had not been anointed with oil. From the blood of the slain, from the fat of the mighty, the bow of Jonathan turned not back, and the sword of Saul returned not empty. Saul and Jonathan were lovely and pleasant in their lives, and in their death they were not divided. They were swifter than eagles.
So it's saying in their death they was not divided, meaning they was together. Even though when they lived, they was divided. They was at odds at time over what? David, because Saul wanted to kill David. But in their death, they fought to the death together. Read.
They were swifter than eagles. They were stronger than lions. Ye daughters of Israel, weep over Saul, who clothed you in scarlet, with other delights, who put on ornaments of gold upon your apparel. How are the mighty fallen in the midst of the battle? O Jonathan, thou wast slain in thine high places. I am distressed for thee, my brother Jonathan. Very pleasant hast thou been unto me. Thy love to me was wonderful, passing the love of women. How are the mighty fallen?
Now stop right there, because it's some LGBT confused person who's saying, see, David was gay. I've heard this statement. See, it passed the love of women. You clearly an idiot. We go to 1 Samuel chapter 18 and verse 1. It's so some confused person out there, you know what I'm saying, who likes I'm gonna stay PG this morning because it's early. You know, some of y'all are going to work, so I'm gonna stay PG-13. But we're going to explain what it means by surpass the love of women. Read what you got.
1 Samuel chapter 18 and verse 1.
Come on.
And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul, that the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David. And Jonathan loved him as his own soul.
So he loved him as his own soul, meaning they was tight like this. They was brothers. Well, when they say surpassing the love of women, meaning they was best friends. They was tight. They was knit as like one person, as his own soul. Now let's go back. If you love your own soul, God, just read verse 27.
2 Samuel chapter 1 and verse 27. How are the mighty fallen, and the weapons of war perished?
So David published this throughout Israel. He lamented for Saul and Jonathan. Why? Because he loved them. This is the purest form and one of the best examples we can use when you get to Matthew and it says, love your enemy. It's referring to your enemies of your own people who come after you. This is what David did. Even though Saul made himself an enemy to David, he loved him even after his death. So let's read chapter 2. Let's get into it.
2 Samuel chapter 2. And it came to pass after this, that David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I go up into any of the cities of Judah? And the Lord said unto him, go up. And David said, whither shall I go up? And he said unto Hebron.
So David took counsel with the Lord with everything, even to the point where he was going to live. You know, he asked the Lord, where should I go and live? The Lord said Hebron. Now, some brothers, they don't do that at all. They don't get no counsel. You know, they just move to Timbuktu. They move across country without counsel. And they life, and they wonder why they life, oh, I'm doing so bad. Because you didn't take no counsel. You didn't take the counsel of the Lord. The scriptures say counsel in all things. And David did that. Read on.
Verse 2. So David went up thither, and his 2 wives also.
So jump down to verse 4.
Verse 4. And the men of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah.
So at this time period, David was anointed king over Judah. So he was over the one tribe at this time period. Read.
And they told David, saying, that the men of Jabesh Gilead were they that buried Saul. And David sent messengers unto the men of Jabesh Gilead, and said unto them, blessed be ye of the Lord, that ye have showed this kindness unto your Lord, even unto Saul, and have buried him.
So David sent messengers to them brothers who honored Saul and got his body back and buried it. And they said, blessed be to you. Why? Because they did an honorable thing. They remembered the good works that Saul did. Read on.
Verse 6. And now the Lord show kindness and truth unto you, And I also will requite you this kindness, because ye have done this thing. Therefore now let your hands be strengthened, and be ye valiant, for your master Saul is dead. And also the house of Judah have anointed me king over them. But Abner, the son of Ner, captain of Saul's host, took Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim.
So Ishbosheth, Saul's son, was anointed the king in Mahanaim. It's going to say that. Read on.
Verse 9, and made him king over Gilead, and over the Asherites, and over Jezreel, and over Ephraim, and over Benjamin, and over all Israel.
So Ishbosheth was the king over the rest of Israel at this time period. And this marks the civil war between Ishbosheth, son of Saul, and Abner, son of Ner, and King David, who at this time period is the king of Judah, and Joab, who is the son of, hold on, I'm going to get it. I don't know right now. I forget right now. It's going to come to me. Zeruiah, right? Zariah, I believe his name. Yeah. So Abner, who was Saul's uncle, and he was also one of Saul's mighty men. When David killed Goliath, Saul asked Abner, "Who is he?" You know. So Abner was also in the circle with David and Jonathan and Saul. So they all knew each other. Abner set up Saul's son to be the king over Israel because Abner had influence. He was a military man. He was one of the main generals over Saul's army. He was the main general over Saul's army. So he had the power to set, because he had power over the army, he set Saul's son over all the rest of Israel. David had him small band of 300 men, but the rest of Judah anointed David king. So I'm bringing it into perspective for y'all, because this is the beginning of the civil war, right? Read what you got.
2 Samuel chapter 2 and verse 10. Ishbosheth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel, and reigned 2 years.
Only 2 years. Why?
But the house of Judah followed David. And the time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months.
Come on.
And Abner, the son of Ner, and the servants of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, went out from Mahanaim to Gibeon. And Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and the servants of David went out and met together by the pool of Gibeon.
So Abner, who is the top general of Ishbosheth army, and Joab, the top general of David's army, because Joab is a mighty man. I believe Joab is David's cousin or uncle. He's a mighty man, and he comes from a stock of Judah. He has a strong name, and he has influence. He has an army. Prior to David becoming king, he was already that guy when it comes to military. And both of these men are both strong in their own right, far as military, far as wars, far as battles. So now these two men who've been battling the heathen, they come and they meet each other. They both know about each other, and they meet each other, and they looking at each other. They have their men, and they looking across from each other. Read.
Verse 13. And Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and the servants of David went out and met together by the pool of Gibeon. And they sat down, the one on the one side of the pool, and the other on the other side of the pool.
Now remember, these is two mighty men, warriors. They looking dead at each other from the south, from one side of the pool at the other side of the pool. And they know both of them is trained killers. You know what I'm saying? They got honor and respect for each other because they know they both killers. Top killers, right? Read on.
Verse 14.
Come on.
And Abner said to Joab, let the young men now arise and play before us. And Joab said, let them arise.
So he said, all right, you send out some of your young men to fight with my young men. Let's see what happened. Let your young man go up and ride. And when they say play, meaning fight. All right, read on.
Verse 15. Then there arose and went over by number 12 of Benjamin.
So it's 12 Benjamites, read.
Which pertained to Ishbosheth, the son of Saul. and the 12 of the servants of David.
The servants of David being Judah, the house of Judah. So it's Benjamin versus Judah right now. Read.
And they caught every one his fellow by the head, and thrust his sword in his fellow's side.
So they killed each other. Like if they went to fight, it was a stalemate to the point they all killed each other. Read.
So they fell down together. Wherefore that place was called Helkath Hazarim, which is in Gibeon. And there was a very sore battle that day.
So once that popped off, the battle popped off. Once these men went out to fight and they all killed each other, the battle started. Everybody just started fighting. Read.
Verse 17. And there was a very sore battle that day, and Abner was beaten, and the men of Israel before the servants of David.
So Judah put the hands on Benjamin. I gotta say it plain. I gotta say it plain. Judah gave Benjamin the business. Read on.
Verse 18.
Come on.
And there were 3 sons of Zeruiah. There Joab and Abishai and Asahel.
Abishai and Ashiel. Read.
And Asahel was as light of foot as a wild roe.
So that means he was fast. Ashiel was faster than a roe, meaning a deer. That's how fast he was. He was known for speed, right? Read on.
And Asahel pursued after Abner.
So Asahel chased after Abner, because after they getting whooped, Abner retreated. Asahel being so fast, he chased after Abner. He picked the top dude to go after. He picked, in the streets, they say you got to go after the biggest one, the biggest, baddest one. You got to try to take him out first. That's what Asahel tried to do. He went after Abner. Read.
Verse 19. And Asahel pursued after Abner, and in going he turned not to the right hand nor to the left from following Abner. Then Abner looked behind him and said, Art thou Asahel? And he answered, I am. And Abner said to him, Turn thee aside to thy right hand or to thy left, and lay thee hold on one of the young men, and take thee his armor. But Asahel would not turn aside from following of him.
So he said, Abner, while retreating, he noticed Asahel was chasing him. He said he knew Asahel. Why? Because he knew Joab. Asahel was Joab's brother. He knows them because they both mighty men of war. All the warriors know each other. You know what I'm saying? So he looked back and he said, Ain't you Asahel? Follow somebody else. Go follow somebody else and fight somebody else. Basically, he's trying to warn him, like, you don't want this with me. You don't want the smoke with me. Follow somebody else. Do something safe. You know what I'm saying? That's what people say in the streets. Like, find something safe to do. Do something else. Go somewhere else. Read on.
Verse 22. And Abner said again to Asahel, Turn thee aside from following me. Wherefore should I smite thee to the ground? How then should I hold up my face to Joab thy brother?
He said, bro, if I kill you, then me and Joab can't never be cool again. Because even after this battle, they're still Israel. It's still a possibility for them to come back. But if I kill you, Joab's brother, I can't never go before Joab again. We never going to be tight again. So just find something else to do. Because even though they was warriors, they was still Israel. They didn't want to kill each other. You know what I'm saying? They didn't want to take each other out. It's just they're at odds at this time period because they're on different sides. Joab chose David's side. Abner chose Ishbosheth. Let me see how I say his name again. Ishbosheth's side. So read on.
Verse 23.
But remember, prior to this, they was together. They was both together and part of the same army. Read on.
Verse 23. Howbeit he refused to turn aside. Wherefore Abner with the hinder end of the spear smote him under the 5th rib.
So Abner got sick of the dude chasing me. He turned around. All right, since this is what you want. And he killed him. He gave him the fight he wanted. Easy fight. Killed him. Like he told him. Like, bro, we're not on the same fighting level. We don't have the same level of experience. I'm going to kill you. But he kept following him, so he ended up killing him. Read.
Wherefore Abner with the hinder end of the spear smote him under the 5th rib, that the spear came out behind him, and he fell down there and died in the same place. And it came to pass that as many as came to the place where Asiel fell down and died stood still.
So when they seen Asiel die, they stopped and said, "Oh, this means trouble. This is trouble right here." Read.
Verse 24. Joab also and Abishai pursued after Abner.
So meanwhile, Joab was pursuing Abner. Read.
And the sun went down when they were come to the hill of Ammah, that lieth before Giah by the way of the wilderness of Gibeon. And the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together after Abner, and became one troop, and stood on the top of an hill.
So now they basically surrounded. They stood at the top of the hill as a troop, and Abner is gonna say something is gonna be key. And the only reason that this is gonna be respected is because Abner was the top general over all these men. So they still got respect for him, even though they at war. And even though Judah putting a pause on them, they still got respect for Abner because for all the wars that he fought for the Lord. Read on.
Verse 26. Then Abner called to Joab and said, shall the sword devour forever?
Is y'all gonna, like, how long y'all gonna chase us, bruh? Like, how long is y'all gonna kill us to ain't none of us left? Is the sword going to devour forever? Read.
Knowest thou not that it will be bitterness in the latter end?
If you kill us all now, you never going to be able to fix it. David never going to be able to reign over all Israel because all Israel is going to hate y'all for killing all of the Benjamites. Read on.
How long shall it be then, ere thou bid the people return from following their brethren? And Joab said, as God liveth, unless thou hast spoken, surely then in the morning the people had gone up, every one from following his brother.
Bro, we was gonna chase y'all until the morning. If you ain't speaking, but if that basically Abner to let them know we concede, bro. We don't have to keep fighting. So read on.
So Joab blew a trumpet, and all the people stood still and pursued after Israel no more. Neither fought they any more. And Abner and his men walked all that night through the plain, and passed over Jordan, and went through all Bithron, and they came to Mahanaim. And Joab returned from following Abner. And when he had gathered all the people together, there lacked of David's servants 19 men and Asiel.
So they counted all. So after war, which is customary to count all the brothers to see who passed away, it was 19 men and Asiel. So it was 20 brothers that died from the side of Judah. And that's when he found out his brother was dead. But read on.
Verse 31. But the servants of David had smitten of Benjamin and of Abner's men, so that 360 men died.
A score is 20, so 3 is 60. So 360 men of the Benjamites died, and 20 men of Judah died. What does that mean? Judah put the pause on Benjamin. You know, we're just reading the Bible. Read on. Shout out to my Benjamites out there. It's just a joke, but it's also true. Read on.
Verse 32.
Read on.
And they took up Asiel and buried him in the sepulchre of his father.
Come on.
Which was in Bethlehem. And Joab and his men went all night, and they came to Hebron at break of day. Chapter 3 and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Now there was a long war between the house of Saul and the house of David. But David waxed stronger and stronger.
So it was a war between them. They fought for a long period of time, right? But David waxed stronger and stronger, meaning more and more of the tribes started to side with David. They was winning a lot of wars, and a lot of people. David's influence started to grow. At the beginning, all the rest of the tribes was still under Abner, who they was willing to follow Abner and who Abner set up. But that's gonna be key because when we read down, because the end of the war came through Abner. Because without Abner, this would have never started in the first place, because Saul's son did not have no influence. Abner, being a general, was able to set him up as king because people respected Abner. Right? Read on.
But David waxed stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. And unto David were sons born in Hebron. and his firstborn was Ammon, and Ahinoam.
So we can jump down. We can jump down to verse 6.
Verse 6. And it came to pass, while there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David, that Abner made himself strong for the house of Saul.
So Abner still made himself strong, meaning he still was going to bat for the house of Saul, right? Why? Because Abner is Saul's uncle. You know what I'm saying? And Abner, he loved Saul, so therefore he made sure his son was set up, because that's what Saul wanted ultimately. He wanted Jonathan to take the throne after himself, but Jonathan died with Saul. So the next best thing is to set up, I wish this brother, I keep forget his name, I'll say it again, Ishbosheth. That was the next best thing, because Saul wanted Jonathan to take the king crown. Jonathan didn't want it because he knew David should be king. But Jonathan and Saul ended up dying together. So what did Abner do? He tried to set up Ishbosheth. But even when you try to set up a nigga will try to turn against you. That's what's going to happen. Read.
Verse 7. And Saul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah. And Ishbosheth said to Abner, wherefore hast thou gone in unto my father's concubine?
He said, why did you have sex with my father's concubine? Now, it doesn't say if that's true or not. And that's key, because you got to know if something's true or not before you just start putting things out there. And the reason that he felt a certain way, because if you take on the wife of the king or the concubine, or you say concubine is considered one of the lesser wives, you take on the wife of the king, you basically saying that you the king. So Ishbosheth went and challenged his uncle and said, why did you have sex with my father's concubine? Which, like I said, it doesn't say if he did or not, but he challenged him on that, right? Read on. So I guess he either heard it or he got some type of report to where he thought that was happening. Read.
Verse 8. Then was Abner very wroth for the words of Ishbosheth.
And Abner was mad as hell that he said that to him. Read.
And said, am I a dog's head?
Am I a dog? Who do you think I am? Who is you talking to right now? Do you know who I am? Am I nothing? Read.
Am I a dog's head, which against Judah do show kindness this day unto the house of Saul thy father?
Do you think I'm just somebody who just showing how kindness to your father because I'm just a nobody? You clearly are mistaken to what is going on right now. You clearly don't see what's going on. You would be nobody if it wasn't for me. Read on.
Am I a dog's head, which against Judah do show kindness this day unto the house of Saul thy father, to his brethren and to his friends, and have not delivered thee into the hand of David, that thou chargest me today with a fault concerning this woman?
You charging me with you saying that I'm dealing with this woman as if I'm trying to come up against you, as if I haven't been fighting all this time for you? Read.
Verse 9. So do God to Abner, and more also, except as the Lord have sworn to David, even so I do to him, to translate the kingdom from the house of Saul, and to set up the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan even to Beersheba.
Since you said this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it my mission to set up David over all Israel now. He says, he said, the same way the Lord swore to David, I swear to David this day. Which means everybody knew that David was supposed to be the next king. He's only doing this out of respect for the name of Saul, because he is the uncle of Saul, because they are his family. So he's only doing this because they are his family. So he already knew David was supposed to be king. So because this man said that, he said, I'm gonna make it my mission to make sure now everybody who under you go to David now. Read.
Verse 11. And he could not answer Abner a word again.
He couldn't say nothing to Abner because Abner was a man of war. He was a general. He was the only reason that he was at the spot that he was at. Read.
Because he feared him. And Abner sent messengers to David on his behalf, saying, whose is this land? Saying also, make thy league with me, and behold, my hand shall be with thee, to bring about all Israel unto thee. And he said, well, I will make a league with thee, but one thing I require of thee, that is, thou shalt not see my face, except thou first bring Michal, Saul's daughter, when thou comest to see my face. And David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, Saul's son, saying, deliver me my wife Michal, which I espoused to me for 100 foreskins of the Philistines. And Ishbosheth sent and took her from her husband, even from Phaltiel, the son of Laish.
So he took her because she was promised to David, but she had been betrothed to another man. So Ishbosheth took her from this man that she was betrothed to and gave her back to her proper betrothal, which was David. Right? Read on.
Verse 16. And her husband went with her along, weeping behind her to Bahurim. Then said Abner unto him, go, return. And he returned. And Abner had communication with the elders of Israel, saying, ye sought for David in times past to be king over you. Now then do it, for the Lord hath spoken of David, saying, by the hand of my servant David, I will save my people Israel out of the hand of the Philistines and out of the hand of all their enemies.
Now, that's key right there, because it says, read that part again. You have sought, verse 17.
Verse 17. And Abner had communication with the elders of Israel, saying.
So he sat down with Abner sat down with all the elders of Israel, meaning the heads of all the rest of the tribes, right? Outside of the tribe of Judah, because David's leading the tribe of Judah. He sat down with the heads of all the rest of the tribes and said what?
Ye sought for David in times past to be king over you.
He said, y'all wanted David, y'all sought, meaning they had councils before, during the Civil War, about David. That mean they sat around and counseled all the leaders of Israel and said David's supposed to be the king. The only reason that they wasn't is because they respected Abner that much. Abner had that much influence that they blatantly went against God, because they all sat around and they said he said you all sought in past time to make David the king. That's what we all wanted from the go. Right? This is what Abner's saying to the leaders of the tribe. That y'all wanted David to be the king. The only reason that y'all have a different king is because of my influence. Y'all respect me so much. Read.
2 Samuel chapter 3 and verse 18. Now then do it, for the Lord hath spoken of David, saying, by the hand of my servant David I will save my people Israel out of the hand of the Philistines and out of the hand of all their enemies.
So now Abner's having this council, and he tells the elders, it's time to make David the official king. Go do that thing, because we all know what the Lord said, and we need to put that in place. Now, no, he only doing this because his stupid nephew tried to challenge him about a damn woman. Let a woman put a battery in his back. That's for y'all brothers who moved off of the words of women, moved off the elbow, who let women tear you down. But he said, let's go ahead and do the right thing and set up David now. Read.
Verse 19.
This guy's an idiot.
Verse 19.
Come on.
And Abner also spake in the ears of Benjamin. And Abner went also to speak in the ears of David in Hebron all that seemed good to Israel and that seemed good to the whole house of Benjamin.
Come on.
So Abner came to David to Hebron, and 20 men with him. And David made Abner and the men that were with him a feast. And Abner said unto David, I will arise and go, and will gather all Israel unto my lord the king, that they may make a league with thee, and that thou mayest reign over all that thine heart desireth.
So he sat down with David, they feasted, they kicked it, they reunited, because remember, they was all part of the same army at one time. They only at war because Saul died and didn't set up things properly. If Saul was in the spirit, once David was anointed to be the next king, he would have put a law in place for David to just take the throne. But instead, Saul wanted his sons to live on. He wanted his legacy to stay on the throne. But now they back, they reunited, they joyous, and Abner states, I'm gonna go get all Israel. We gonna come and we gonna bring them to the Lord the King, and we gonna establish this thing. Read.
And David sent Abner away, and he went in peace. Verse 22. And behold, the servants of David and Joab came from pursuing a troop, and brought in a great spoil with them. But Abner was not with David in Hebron, for he had sent him away, and he was gone in peace. When Joab and all the host that was with him were come, they told Joab, saying, Abner the son of Ner came to the king, and he have sent him away, and he is gone in peace.
Now, so when Joab get back, because he comes back from fighting, and he comes back, and the people come and tell Joab, because remember, Joab is also a warrior in God. So you got to think about it. So if you have an army of ranking men, right? Abner was a top guy in the army. Joab was a top guy in the army. David was a captain in Saul's army, but he wasn't at the level of those two men, but he was anointed to be the next king, right? I'm just to bring it into perspective. So both of these men have major influence. Now they coming to Joab and saying, you know, Abner came and David sent him away peacefully. Joab's upset. Why? Abner killed his brother. He upset about how his little brother has been murdered through this civil war. So he's angry at this thing. Read.
Verse 24. Then Joab came to the king and said, What hast thou done? Behold, Abner came unto thee. Why is it that thou hast sent him away, and he is quite gone? Thou knowest Abner the son of Ner, that he came to deceive thee, and to know thy going out and thy coming in.
He said, man, you know Abner, man. He's coming in. He only came in here to see how things is being operated so he can come destroy. You know Abner to be a man of war, basically. You know what I'm saying? You know him. He just doing this to try to spy us out. But really, Joab just upset about his brother. Read on.
And to know all that thou doest. Verse 26. And when Joab was come out from David, he sent messengers after Abner, which brought him again from the well of Sirah. But David knew it not. And when Abner was returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside in the gate to speak with him quietly, and smote him there under the fifth rib, that he died, for the blood of Asiel his brother. And afterward, when David heard it, he said, I and my kingdom are guiltless before the Lord.
So read that one verse again.
Verse 27. And when Abner was returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside in the gate to speak with him quietly.
So Joab went, he called Abner, he sent messengers to Abner to come back, right? And he took Abner aside. He said, man, I want to talk to you, bro. And when he went, and when he did that, what'd he do?
And smote him there under the fifth rib.
He murdered him. He killed him. Read.
That he died for the blood of Asiel his brother.
And why? Because remember, he said he was upset that Abner came because Abner was coming to spy out all the land. But what did it say he killed him for?
For the blood of Asiel his brother.
That was the real reason he did it. Because he was upset about his brother being murdered. Right? Read on.
Verse 20.
Killed, rather. Read,
Verse 28. And afterward, when David heard it, he said, I and my kingdom are guiltless before the Lord, forever from the blood of Abner, the son of Ner.
So as soon as he heard it, he said, man, I don't got nothing to do with that. I did not do that. He wanted to be clear that he did not want Abner dead. Read.
Let it rest on the head of Joab and on all his father's house. And let there not fail from the house of Joab one that hath an issue, or that is a leper, or that leaneth on a staff, or that falleth on the sword, or that lack of bread.
So Joab cursed his whole father's house, but with that sin that he did. He said there will always be, so from going forward, it's always going to be somebody who got an issue, meaning an issue of blood, or no, an issue, some type of issue, a leprosy, or leaneth on a staff, or falleth on a sword of lack of bread. Forevermore. Read on.
Verse 30. So Joab and Abishai his brother slew Abner, because he had slain their brother Asiel at Gibeon in the battle. And David said to Joab and to all the people that were with him, rend your clothes and gird you with sackcloth, and mourn before Abner. And King David himself followed the bier.
So they mourned Abner. Why? Because Abner was an admirable man. He was a man of honor, a man of war and dignity. And the way that he died, he should not die that way. Read.
Verse 32. And they buried Abner in Hebron. And the king lifted up his voice and wept at the grave of Abner, and all the people wept. And the king lamented over Abner and said, Died Abner as a fool dieth. Thy hands were not bound, nor thy feet put into fetters. As a man falleth before the wicked men, so fellest thou. And all the people wept again over him.
And David cried over this death of Abner, because David also looked up to Abner, because Abner was Saul's armor bearer at one period of time, and the general in Saul's army. Read.
And when all the people came to cause David to eat meat while it was yet day, David sware, saying, So do God to me, and more also, if I taste bread or aught else to the sun be down.
So he also fasted when Abner died. Read.
And all the people took notice of it, and it pleased them. And whatsoever the king did pleased all the people. For all the people in all Israel understood that day that it was not of the king to slay Abner the son of Ner.
So everybody knew David didn't want that to happen. But listen to what David says next. Read.
Verse 38. And the king said unto his servants, Know ye not that there is a prince and a great man fallen this day in Israel? And I am this day weak, though anointed king, thou anointed king.
So now, on the same day that David is anointed king over all Israel, he has to weep and mourn for his friend Abner that has been put to death. You know, that he also had to battle against all this time. Read.
And I am this day weak, though anointed king. And these men, the sons of Zeruiah, be too hard for me.
So these men, the sons of Zeruiah, his uncles, too hard for me, meaning they had too much power and influence. So even though David was the king, these men had power and influence. How do we know? Go to verse 26.
Verse 26. And when Joab was come out from David, he sent messengers after Abner.
Meaning men followed what Joab said over what the king said. Because the king in verse 21.
Verse 21. And Abner said unto David, I will arise and go, and will gather all Israel unto my lord the king, that they make a league with thee, and that thou mayest reign over all thine heart desireth. And David sent Abner away, and he went in peace.
David sent him away in peace. The men that followed Joab, they broke what David said to listen to Joab, meaning Joab still has a large, massive influence over the army, meaning David could not do nothing against Joab because he got so much influence. So many men listen to Joab because they've been listening to him for years. So he said they had too much power and influence. They was too hard for him. Read. Go back to that.
Verse 39.
Uh-huh.
And I am this day weak, though anointed king. And these men, the sons of Zeruiah, be too hard for me. The Lord shall reward the doer of evil according to his wickedness.
He said, so he pointed that out, said it in front of everybody. These men, right, they too hard for me. I can't do nothing about what they did, right? Because they supposed to be put to death. Joab supposed to be put to death for his actions. But if he goes to do that, Joab just going to stir up the whole army to come up against David, and then it's going to be turmoil in Israel again. And he just now uniting Israel. So he said, I can't do nothing to you right now. Because when you read on, he end up having Solomon give him his judgment. We can read that. Let's see if we can find that in 1 Kings. 1 Kings 2 in verse 5. Yeah, 1 Kings 2 and verse 5. So let's read verse 1 first.
1 Kings chapter 2 and verse 1.
Uh-huh.
Now the days of David drew nigh that he should die, and he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man.
So he's going to give Solomon directives to do after he dies, right? And now that Solomon's the king. Read verse 5.
Verse 5. Moreover, thou knowest also what Joab, the son of Zeruiah, did to me, and what he did to the two captains of the host of Israel, unto Abner, the son of Ner.
So he killed Abner, the son of Ner, which we just read about. Read.
And unto Amasai, the son of Jether.
He also killed Amasai, son of Jether, during the second civil war, which we haven't read that yet. But there was a second civil war, which was between David and his own son. So he killed the general of his son's army, Amasa. Read.
Whom ye slew and shed the blood of war in peace, and put the blood of war upon his girdle that was about his loins, and in his shoes that were on his feet. Do therefore according to thy wisdom, and let not his hoary head go down to the grave in peace.
Don't let him die of old age. Meaning, so Joab ended up in his old age. When he was too old, he had no more fight. He wasn't big and bad no more. He was old man. Solomon came on in. All right, old timer, you gotta die for those sins that you committed. The Lord have not forgotten your sins, and he ended up being killed for that, right? But nevertheless, let's go back. So when it says in verse 39, the Lord shall reward the doer of evil according to his wickedness. That's what ultimately happened. So he was put to death. Let's see if we can find the exact when it happened. Let's read. Where was we at? Wait, let's read. Where is it when he get put to death? Joab. 1 Kings 2 and verse 31.
1 Kings chapter 2 and verse 31.
Bring it out.
And the king said unto him.
Wait, start at verse 28.
1 Kings chapter 2 and verse 28. Then tidings came to Joab, for Joab had turned after Adonijah, though he turned not after Absalom.
So during this time period, Joab was trying to set up one of David's other sons to be king. The same way Abner tried to set up somebody else instead of who God picked, Joab did the same thing, right? But the difference is Joab was way too old, and he didn't have as much influence as Abner had. Read. And during this time period, he didn't have as much influence as he had back when he was young. Read on.
And Joab fled unto the tabernacle of the Lord, and caught hold on the horns of the altar. And it was told King Solomon that Joab was fled unto the tabernacle of the Lord.
So he went into the tabernacle because he thought that they wouldn't put him to death in there. Read.
And behold, he is by the altar. Then Solomon sent Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, saying, Go fall upon him. And Benaiah came to the tabernacle of the Lord and said unto him, Thus saith the king, Come forth. And he said, Nay, but I will die here. And Benaiah brought the king word again, saying, Thus said Joab, and thus he answered me. And the king said unto him, Do as he hath said, and fall upon him, and bury him, that they mayest take away the innocent blood which Joab shed from me and from the house of my father. And the Lord shall return his blood upon his own head, who fell upon 2 men more righteous and better than he, and slew them with the sword. My father David not knowing thereof, to wit, Abner the son of Ner, captain of the host of Israel, and Amasai the son of Jether, captain of the host of Judah. Their blood shall therefore return upon the head of Joab, and upon the head of his seed forever. But upon David, and upon his seed, and upon his house, and upon his throne, shall there be peace forever from the Lord. So Benaiah the son of Jehoiada went up, and fell upon him, and slew him. And he was buried in his own house in the wilderness. And the king put Benaiah the son of Jehoiada in his room over the host. And Zadok the priest did the king put in the room of Abiathar.
All right, that's good. So this is the conclusion of the Civil War. Let's read one last portion of it, because just for time's sake, we kind of ran out. Ran out of time before we can read that last chapter. 2 Samuel 4, I mean. Yeah, verse 1.
2 Samuel chapter 4 and verse 1. And when Saul's son heard that Abner was dead in Hebron, his hands were feeble, and all the Israelites were troubled.
So when he found out Abner was dead, he was shook because Abner's influence is what put him in this position. Abner is the only reason that he was going to live after that David was set up. Well, David wouldn't have killed him anyway because he gave Michal, his wife, back to David. So David wasn't going to kill Saul's son. But when he heard Abner died, he feared for his own life. Like, they may kill me too. Read.
Verse 2. And Saul's son had 2 men that were captains of bands. The name of the one was Banah, and the name of the other was Rechab. And the sons of Rimmon, a Beerothite, and the children of Benjamin. For Beeroth also was reckoned to Benjamin. And the Beerothites fled to Gittim, and were sojourners there until this day. And Jonathan, Saul's son, had a son that was lame of his feet. He was 5 years old when the tidings came of Saul and Jonathan out
Jump
of
down to
Jezreel.
verse 6.
Verse 6. And they came thither into the midst of the house, as though they would have fetched wheat, and they smote him under the 5th rib.
So they killed Saul's son, Ishbosheth. Read.
And Rechab and Banah, his brother, escaped. For when they came into the house, he lay on his bed in his chamber, and they smote him, and slew him, and beheaded him, and took his head, and gat them away through the plain all night. Mm-hmm. And they brought the head of Ishbosheth unto David to Hebron.
So they brought his head to David. Read.
And said to the king, Behold the head of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul thine enemy, which sought thy life. And the Lord hath avenged my lord the king this day of Saul and of his seed. And David answered Rechab and Banah, his brother, the sons of Rimmon, the Beerothite, and said unto them, As the Lord liveth, who have redeemed my soul out of all adversity. When one told me, saying, Behold, Saul is dead, thinking to have brought good tidings, I took hold of him and slew him in Ziklag.
He said, bro, when they told me Saul was dead, and he said that he killed Saul, I killed him. Read.
Who thought that I would have given him a reward for his tidings. Verse 11. How much more when wicked men have slain a righteous person in his own house upon his bed?
So he still considered him, that brother, a righteous person, because he was going to heed and give David the kingdom and his wife. He was going to submit under David when Abner decided that it was time. Read.
Shall I not therefore now require his blood of your hand and take away from the earth? Verse 12. And David commanded his young men, and they slew them, and cut off their hands and their feet, and hanged them up over the pool in Hebron. But they took the head of Ishbosheth and buried it in the sepulchre of Abner in Hebron.
So they end up burying Ishbosheth with Abner. So 1 Samuel 5 and verse 3. 2 Samuel 5 and 3, I'm sorry.
2 Samuel chapter 5 and verse 3.
Read.
So all the elders of Israel came to the king to Hebron, and King David made a league with them in Hebron before the Lord. And they anointed David king over Israel. David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years. In Hebron he reigned over Judah 7 years and 6 months. And in Jerusalem he reigned 33 years over all Israel and Judah.
So they set up, so after the civil war, after the death of Abner and Ishbosheth, they set up, and also Esiel, the brother of Joab, they set up David as king over all Israel, which ended the first and initial civil war of Israel. So with that, we ran out of time. With that, we're going to say shalom, Most High in Christ bless. I hope this class was edifying. Donate to the Booster Club. Why? Because we are at war currently. We at war with our enemies across the world, the nations. We at war with the wickedness of the Christian church. We at war with all demonic forces. We at war with all strongholds, and we need your help. Donate. That being said, shalom, Most High in Christ bless.
Flipping and flipping my people opinion till all the chosen to seal. You know that I've been a den as a watchman, so I've been watching the field. All I've been seeing is servants on horses thinking they king of the hill. We rising up to collect what they owe us, they gon' be paying the bill.
I done seen the future in America won't make it. I can look at Europe and I see it for the taking. China's about to fall, the economy is breaking. We ain't asking for the kingdom, man, we bout to take it. Take it. World domination, we gon' take it. I don't need your money, yeah, we coming out the matrix. The London Bridge is falling, the Eiffel Tower falling, Statue of Liberty is falling.